All right, I think I am live. And welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Joe Court from the Center for Relationship and Sexual Health in Royal Oak, Michigan. And this is Joe Court After Dark. Those of you that are joining me for the third time have known that I'm trying to talk about some very serious things, but trying to do it in a lighter way. So I'm in my bedroom, I'm in my quarantine, I'm in my pajamas, which by the way I've been buying. I never wear pajamas. I bought them so that I would have like a costume to get into. But I have to be honest with you. I'm actually enjoying the pajamas. I'm actually sleeping in them. They're satin and I haven't had pajamas since I was a kid. They're very, very comfortable. Hi, Brian. Hi, Jeffrey. Welcome. So tonight, and Gary Johnson, good seeing you. Tonight we're going to be talking about our unexamined parts, our unexamined self. We're in quarantine. I've talked the first week about sexuality and how do we get our erotic and sexual needs met. The second week we talked about how do you flatten the couples curve. You're in relationship with other people, that was about your partnership. And tonight it's about how do you flatten the curve within yourself. I know for me, I'm run, go, go, go. You know, those of you that know me, I present, I travel, I do all kinds of stuff, and I don't spend a lot of time at home. I just don't. I'm a huge extrovert. I'm kind of enjoying being home a little. I have to be honest, I've lived in this house 27 years, and I don't know that I've been in this house that as much as I've been in the last 3 weeks. And I'm enjoying it, but I'm also bumping into parts of myself that are unexamined, that I'm having to face about myself that I normally wouldn't do because I'd be on the go and running. So I want to give you a template to do that. So hello, there's new people coming on. Brian Dury and Ron Rebant and Rice Atkins and Toros, and Michael Courier. Okay, so I'm Dr. Joe Court. I'm from the Center for Relationship and Sexual Health. You've joined Joe Court After Dark. So we're going to talk about how do we develop a sense of self? And please put your questions in here. I'm going to try to teach and I'm going to try to watch for the questions. If I don't do it and it's a question you want answered, put it in again. And hopefully everyone will answer. I like that we've been doing that. So let's just talk about how we get here, just evolution, right? We have a brain. And I don't know if you know this, but we have 3 parts to our brain. We have actually 3 brains. We have the brain stem, we have the limbic system, the middle brain, and we have the neocortex, the frontal lobe. We call in imago relationship therapy, which is also for singles, the old brain, we call the brain stem the old brain. This is just basic survival. Is it safe or is it dangerous? Are we safe or are we dangerous? If we feel endangered, the brain sends a message to the limbic system to feel pleasure or fear. So it's going to feel fear. I'm in danger. Something's here. Maybe I'm in a desert and I see a stick. It looks like a snake. So I'm driven to feel fear. Now that sends a message to the new brain, the frontal lobe, the neocortex, that says, do something. Get me out of danger. Okay? So that works even when we're not in danger, but we need that, right? So if you're in a dark parking lot and you're carrying groceries and you're vulnerable and you hear footsteps, it's good to have the old brain because it says, hey, something's going on here. But if something's not dangerous, what happens is we still get that old brain says something's wrong. So we're in quarantine. I'm having a feeling. I'm having an emotion. Something happened. My partner said something I didn't like. My kid did something I didn't like. Now I feel I'm in danger, right? I'm not, but I feel like I am. It sends a message to the middle brain, be afraid. And then the new brain says, do something about it. And if you're not connected to yourself, if you're not conscious of this, then you're trying to fix a problem that's not there. And that's what I want to help you do. Not have to fix problems that aren't there. Welcome to new people. Adam, Pat, Mahorik, good to see you. David, Sukas, and I hope I'm saying your names right. Mickey Corzin, it's great to see you. So when our brains are working well and we can feel pleasure, so the old brain can relax, it feels safe, it sends a message, it's okay, relax, you can feel pleasure if you want, and then the new brain doesn't have to do anything to fix anything because there's nothing to fix. So when it's safe, people either mate, nurture, play, sleep, and create. Okay? That's what it allows us to do. When it's dangerous, people usually call it flight or fight or flight. Fight or flight. We have more than fight or flight. We have freeze, we have hide, we have submit, we have fight, and we have flee. So there's 5. I'll say them again. We freeze, we hide, we submit, we fight, or we flee. Or we might do a few of these. These are your initial reactions. What do you do when somebody is making you feel threatened, or you feel like they're screwing with you in some way? So I'll tell you what I do. I've done this my whole life, and it's a natural reaction that I can't override. It's my instinctual reaction is to freeze. And I'm kind of like frozen, like, did this person really say this to me? Did this really happen? And sometimes the whole situation will pass by before I can do anything about it. And then once I realize that, yes, they did threaten me, yes, this was a bad situation for me, then I fight. I don't physically fight, but I'll fight. I'll start arguing. So you need to know, while you're in quarantine, while you're in relationship with people, when you're at work, just within yourself, what's your instinctual response? What do you do? So if we were in a group, I usually do groups and workshops. I'll ask the room to go around. What do you do? So you can ask yourself, what do you do? Do you freeze? Do you hide? Do you submit? Do you fight? Or do you flee? And so then let me keep going. So, and there are 2 character types of people, right? There are, so somebody's saying what they do is get quiet and stand up calmly. And then what do you do, Art, after you get quiet and you stand up calmly? Do you sit back down or do you leave? You know? Hi, Lori. Good to see you. And Fred Gutman, good to see you too. So we have 2 types of character types that are in general between 2 people. There's a turtle and there's a hailstorm. The turtles are minimizers. They minimize a situation. They feel deeply. They think a lot, but they shrink wrap it. They're minimizers to cope with the situation. Then there are maximizers, which we also call hailstorms, right? So these people, everything gets big, and there are lots of things to say and lots of feelings get exploded. These 2 people usually meet each other, by the way. So when couples come to my workshops, there's usually a turtle and a hailstorm in relationship to one another. The more the turtle turtles, the more the hailstorm hails. The more the hailstorm hails, the more the turtle turtles. So we talked about that in the couples one last time. But in this one, you need to know, again, what are my instinctive responses? Am I a minimizer or am I a maximizer? And here's the reason. So you can override it with your front new brain, your frontal lobe. So I'm a maximizer. I will sometimes, in crisis, I will feel like the sky is falling. And I have to say to myself, the sky isn't falling. This is a situation. We're in COVID, coronavirus time. We're in prevention. Here's what I say to myself to calm my brain down about coronavirus. We're in prevention. Take a breath. We're in crisis, but we're not, the world's in a situation where we're not adding to the crisis. We're trying to prevent the crisis. That's how I calm myself down in almost all my situations. You need to ask yourself, what do you do? What do you need to do to calm that old brain, to calm that brain stem that we talked about? And then how do you use your frontal lobe, and how, no matter how you feel, right? Because it might be sending a signal. The old brain sends that signal, be scared, do something, and there might be nothing to do. Okay, so Fernando and Eric. So that's you. Eric's the hailstorm. Okay, so then Fernando, you're the turtle, right? Is one better than the other? No. I'm such a great question. Who asked that? Julie Bradley Hoddester. No way. Turtles always feel better because they don't make big dramatic things, right? They walk in my workshop and they're almost like really proud. Wait till you see this person, this bitch, this whomever I'm married to, this hailstorm. But turtles can become snapping turtles. So turtles, they look better, but they're not necessarily, they're still scary to the hailstorm. So both are scary to each other. Hey, Rachel Needle, thank you. This isn't a shirt, it's my pajamas. Satin pajamas. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So again, overall, those of you that just joined, we're talking about the brain. How do you calm yourself down? We have natural instinctive ways when we don't feel safe. I might be in my bedroom and I hear a noise and Mike is sleeping. What do? Do I wake him up? Do I figure it out? Is it really a noise that I need to be worried about? We need to be conscious of what's going on. Oh yeah, you need another slumber party. Yes, I love slumber parties at your house. I'd love to do that again. Okay, so let's see. So then we have the human journey, right? This is the social journey. So these are the things that we learn, and this is really what I want to talk about here. We are born with the ability as children, as infants, to think whatever we want, to feel whatever we want, to act any way we want. All of this is intact. To have all of our sensations, to feel our bodies, touch our bodies, have all the thinking we want. But as time goes on in your family, in your culture, you learn messages like, well, don't think that way. Don't touch yourself there. Don't have that body sensation. Don't move that way. Men don't sit that way. Ladies don't walk that way. Don't feel those things. Men don't feel emotional. Women shouldn't feel angry. And so you get these messages that when babies are born, they're just fully expressing, and then suddenly they're taught, no, none of this is okay. So sensations might be, don't experience your body, don't listen to that, don't hear that, don't look that way, don't put that in your mouth, don't smell that. Thinking, messages around don't think that way. Don't have certain thoughts, don't express your thoughts, don't express certain thoughts, don't be smart, don't act smart, and this can be gender related or not, Feelings, don't feel that way, don't feel certain feelings, don't express those feelings, don't laugh, don't cry. And then moving. Don't move that way. Don't move your legs. Don't move your mouth. Don't move your hips, thighs, or pelvis. Don't show off or play. Don't move your arms. So I was taught that my mother used to say, you don't sit like a man. I'm going to teach you to sit like a man. I crossed my legs like a woman in her mind. Who cares? I sat the way I sat. She meant well. I'm sure she meant well. But I was then taught that I had to sit a certain way, the way a man would. Anyway, so we get all these messages, don't be this way, right? So now this comes out and becomes your shadow. Let me talk about what shadow is. Hi there, Mike and Daniel. I feel the same way. I'm glad I mentioned you hate when people ask which is the man or which is the woman in a relationship, right? Or how people act. Julie Hollister saying, it's hard because it's not just parents giving these messages. That's right. It's teachers, coaches. It's absolutely true. They give them the don't act this way. And males and females police each other, right? Don't dress that way. Women, girls might say, don't act that way. You're asking for it. Males, you're acting like a faggot. You're acting like a girl. What's wrong with you? All these messages. So now your authentic self gets buried and buried and buried, denied and lost, and it becomes your shadow. Let me explain what a shadow is. This is Carl Jung's work, and he uses the term shadow to describe the side of the human psyche that's hidden from our conscious awareness, sometimes deliberately. It could be like, I always talk about how Mike and I met. I come from a family that doesn't allow for quiet and peace. And so my shadow, because I had to bury quiet and peace, is drawn to quiet and peace. And when I met Mike, his family is all about quiet and peace, but their message was bury the playfulness, bury the emotionality. And so when he met me, he was drawn to my emotionality. Our shadows seek out to come out. They don't want to stay unconscious. They don't want to stay suppressed. We're always trying to find ways, even mostly unconsciously, how do we to bring it out. So I'm calling it the shadow. It could be your dark side, some people call it, your baggage, your unexamined parts of yourself that we don't want to claim. So your real self becomes a fugitive, right? And then you forget who you really are. And so that's why in quarantine, my clients have been saying, I don't like this part of myself. Even outside of quarantine, people do this, but they're even more in their face about it. I don't like that I feel this way. I don't like that I act this way. Where does this come from? cut this out of my head, give me a lobotomy or whatever. We don't do that. It's making peace with those the inner parts of yourself. It's understanding that your denied and lost selves are really buried treasures. I said that earlier. And I want you to see it that way. So how do you know what your shadows are? When you have an overreaction to a trait in someone else. So what do you think road rage is all about? You don't know this person in a car that cut you off, or you feel like you were cut off or whatever, or you. So now road rage is, I'm going to get that person because they did. Now I've got a story running in my head. They did something to me, right? Your overreaction is about being threatened and how you might have had to deal with being threatened throughout your early life. So, for instance, a shadow could be people saying they hate judgmental people. Well, it might be because it's one thing to say I don't care for judgmental people. It's another thing to say I hate judgmental people. I can't stand when people are like that. So while I'm talking, I'm going to give you something to do. I want you to think about a trait that you absolutely hate. That it's like nails on a chalkboard when someone does it. What I want you to think about, if I were doing a group, if you were all in front of me, what I would have you do is I would ask you to go around the room and introduce yourself to that trait. So I'll tell you the trait that I can't stand. When I meet a narcissist, I can't stand somebody who's full of themselves. When I used to date, one of my criteria is if I can't get a word in edgewise about me, or they're not asking anything about me, and it's all about them, it would just, make me go to the moon. So I would then have you go around the room, and if I was doing a workshop, and shake hands with people and say that you're that trait. So, hi, I'm Joe Court, and I'm a narcissist. I'm not a narcissist. I have narcissistic traits, but I'm not a narcissist. But I have people go around and say I am that trait, so that you start to laugh about it, and start to move toward making peace with that trait. Not that you have to enjoy narcissists, but let's lose the reactivity. The whole idea is you're not in danger. The narcissist is there. Sometimes you are in danger. I'm not going to say that's never the case. But for the most part, when you meet somebody and they have these traits that you don't like, you're not in danger. You just don't like them. Okay? You can also have an overreaction in a positive way. And this can tell you something about yourself. Oh, let me tell you, I didn't say this. So the reason I don't like narcissists is because I was raised by narcissists. Pretty much every single adult I encountered was a full-blown narcissist. It was all about them. And so when your shadow can be, it's a buried part of yourself, or it's a buried part of someone else who impacted you. And so when someone is like that, it activates my old brain, you're not safe, you're around people. When people say, what does this person say? Diane's saying, when people say they hate judgmental people, it's likely that person has judgmental tendencies. Absolutely. So in my my singles and individuals groups, what I have done is say, come in and be the trait you hate. Act it out. So I've had people come into my office in my groups wearing a judge gavel, that like holding a gavel, being in a judge robe, and they get 5 minutes to act out being judgmental in the room. So they're reclaiming these lost parts. Again, it's not to become judgmental. It's to make peace with that part of yourself. And like I said, it can be something positive too. So I'll tell you, in the early 2000s, I wrote a book, my first book, and everybody said, oh my God, you're going to be on Oprah. Oh my God, this is like, who else is writing books about gay men at the time, whatever. And so I got inflated about it, and I got obsessed with Oprah. I'm going to tell you right now, I always loved Oprah from the beginning. But I became so preoccupied with her, I started trying to figure out how could I get on the show, and this is all normal. I got a publicist, I did all these things, and it was to the point where I was almost debilitated. I had to be on that show. I had colleagues that were getting on the show, and so I went to this workshop by Debbie Ford. Debbie Ford has now passed away, sadly, but she was one of the greatest teachers. The Dark Side of the Light Chasers was the name of her book, and so she had these workshops, and I went out to San Diego to this workshop, La Jolla, she had it. And, I'd said to her, and she had gotten on Oprah, and my agenda was to find out how she got on Oprah so she could get me on Oprah. That's narcissistic right there. So, anyways, I get there, and so she turned it around on me, and she said, your shadow can be something positive. You see something in Oprah that's in you, she said to me. So while you're not Oprah, you don't have the big presence, you don't have the big TV show, you have a presence in your community. And I'm sure that the people that enjoy you and enjoy your work think of you as Oprah-esque. So we're going to call you Jopra. So the entire weekend, everybody called me Jopra. So and I didn't like it at first. It was uncomfortable. Like, what? But after a while, I thought, you know what? I do have. That's what I was giving my energy away to Oprah. That's really what ended up happening. When you're overreacting to anybody, negative or positive, you're giving away parts of yourself that you need to reclaim. Whether it's being judgmental, whether it's being Oprah, whatever it is. And so, this really comes back to if you spot it, you've got it. So what does that mean? So now what I would do in a workshop, and I'll have you do here to think about this, is let's think of 5 things that are good about being judgmental. Let's say judgmental is the trait you hate. What are 5 good things about being judgmental? Let me hear people if you can say 5 good things that come from being judgmental. People critique things better. They're more selective. What else? If people could say, what are some really positive things about being judgmental? Because there are. They're more discerning. I don't know what else. Let's just say I had those 3 until somebody else comes up with others. What I would have you do in a workshop, they can protect us. Right. Thank you, Lisa Goyette. They can protect us by being judgmental. They can protect us by having good judgment about something so that we're not... right, it's honest, right? That is true. It is honest, Julie, yes. Raise my eyebrows, you're asking. Why? Anyways, okay. So then what you would do is pick these 5, you would list these 5, and then you would pick the best of those 5 that speak to you. I'm not going to be judgmental, but I'm going to be more discerning, more honest, more selective. Whatever that is, I'm going to grow myself and stretch myself into the positive of being judgmental, right? So let's do another one. What's another one that you don't like, a trait that people don't like? Oh yeah, awareness is also another, growing awareness. What's a trait you hate in people though? You go to family gatherings, you go to work, maybe it's in your partner, I don't know, and you don't like it. Has anybody got one? You got to have one. Someone's got to have something. Okay, I'm just going to say narcissistic. Let's use mine. I can't stand narcissists, right? So what's good about being a narcissist? It really isn't about self-love, but they take really good care of themselves. And that's positive. No, we don't want to say that. I know, you don't want to say the negatives. We're looking for positives. Fernando's like, they're hypocrites, they're dishonest, okay. So wait, so they take good care of themselves. And yes, they brag. They're like, hey, I want you to see me. They show off. Yep, they do. They show off. And that can be a good thing, though. What I want you to hear is showing off, bragging about yourself, kind of saying, hey, I'm really proud of myself. Being... I thought someone had another one, though. There was something earlier. Anyways, being bold and open. So then you would decide, I'm not going to be a narcissist, but I'm going to be one of these 5 things. Maybe I'm going to try to be all of these 5 things. So this is your way to reclaim parts of yourself. We're in quarantine. This is a time to look in the mirror, whether you want to or not. The mirror is right in front of us, whether it's with the people you live with or within yourself. So what I want people to do is to make a self-vision, a vision for yourself. This is the time to write down how you want to be. Maybe you're going to continue to be some of the ways you already are, but how you want to be. So when you write down a vision for yourself, you would write down as if it's happening right now, even if it's not. So let's say you don't exercise. You would still write down, I exercise in the present tense. I exercise 3 times a week. I meditate 4 times a week. I get my hair cut every 4 weeks. I take a time out and relax every other day. I vacation every 3 months. A vision for yourself so that you have something to look forward to and grow into. Because in quarantine, whatever way that looks, it's like we're grounded. It's like we're just in the place of having to look at ourselves, and that's not a bad thing. Those of you that just joined, I'm Dr. Joe Court. Who don't know me, I'm at the Center for Relationship and Sexual Health. We're right in Royal Oak. We have 13 really high qualified therapists, and I want you to know that none of you have to be alone in this. I'm not alone. I seek out counsel. I seek out friendships. I need people to help me see my shadow. I don't want somebody to tell me, oh yeah, everything's okay when everything's not okay, or everything I do is right when things I do aren't right. I want feedback. I want people to be critical and critique, not to be mean, but to say, hey, Joe, and I have really good people in my life that do that, and I'm very happy to have them in my life. I want that, and I would hope you'd want that too. I hope you have people in your life that say, hey, when you do this, it's not okay, and it doesn't make you look good, and you might want to consider that. Another way to know our shadows, and then I'm going to come to an end, I've been talking a while, is the frustrations our partners have of us. So sometimes some of the frustrations are really yours. They're really about you. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're about them and their issues with you or their issues from their childhood. But often it can also be you. And so I would really want you to take a look at that. I came from a very angry Jewish family, volatile, and when Mike and I got together, he didn't mind it at first, but then over time, it bothered him. And I actually was too angry. I learned that anger was the way to use my frontal lobe when I felt afraid by my old brain. So we talked about this earlier, and I'm going to keep this video up so you can go back, and if some of you just came on to watch that, to know that I don't have to be angry all the time, and it's a pleasure. It's a mitzvah. Let me just say that. It's Passover. It's a mitzvah not to be angry all the time. That sucked. It sucked my energy out. It exhausted me. It ruptured the relationship. And it was not helpful even in my own family. And many of them still act that way. And God bless them. I don't. And I'm happy to have had a partner help me see this part of myself. We need to listen to what others say. Listen to how people react to us. Watch our own reactions to others. This is hard work. I'm talking about it like, oh, it's so easy and you just do this. This is hard. And by the way, once you deal with one shadow and you heal it, then there's another shadow right behind it. Then there's another shadow right behind it. Happy Passover, Rob Braun. So shadows don't go away. It's a lifetime of working through shadows. I thank you for appreciating my Saturday talks. I actually love them. They're a lot of fun. I know I'm kind of being campy in my pajamas in my bedroom, but I really was trying to talk about something serious. Everybody's talking really serious. And I am doing some serious other videos, and I'm doing serious work in my work. But God, we just got to relax a little bit and lighten up and use some humor and be gentle with ourselves. We're going to overeat a little bit. We're going to do a lot of things a little bit too much. Be gentle with yourself. Tomorrow's a new day. Start over. Make a different decision. It's all okay. Quarantine brings out all the shadows. Thank you, Julie Hodister. I appreciate this. All right. Everybody stay healthy and stay well. And I'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves.